You watch your mouth. Oh, it's fantastic. Wait, what?
You're live.
Are we live?
He did it to us again.
Hold on. Yeah, but it's not 7.
Fucking
I don't. I may be punched in, but I ain't working yet.
We're trying, but you're live.
If you give me a minute, I'll punch you out. Actually, you know
You
what?
better
Why don't
bring 3.
You punch me out this time. I need to sleep.
Do you know what you're supposed to do?
Yeah, I know what I'm supposed to do. I'm waiting for 7 o'clock, dude. It's not 7 yet. We may be live, but I ain't. All right. Hey, this is when I come alive. See?
Ta-da!
I showed up to work on time.
Tickle the beard, baby.
Oh man, you know what you should do? I'm Gizz Lazlo.
I am just Paul.
Welcome to another episode of You Know What You Should Do on Monday nights, every Monday night at 7 p.m.
On the nose-ish.
Yeah, I don't start work. I punched in early.
Well,
But-
I mean, somebody made me sit down.
Yeah. And I've been fucking cursing that.
What should we do?
I don't know. What are you going to do today?
How's your week?
My week's been, I don't know. It's Monday. So.
Yeah, well,
last week.
Last week through the weekend kind of
You
thing.
know, rehearsal. My mom and dad's anniversary, which was kind of sad for my mom.
Yeah,
and
I'm
I.
sure.
So we just hung out the whole day. I ignored my phone. So it was actually a pretty cool day. I didn't do nothing music wise, just hung out, watched a couple pretty cool movies, the new Ghostbusters, and then I watched The Flash, which I wasn't expecting what it was going to be. I was just like, fuck it. It's on Netflix.
Was it all right?
Dude, the ending of it was really cool because, spoiler alert, dude, they brought back some characters from way back. First Superman, George Reeves,
Really?
Yeah, he's in it for a fucking split second.
Wait, is it like AI or?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
I've got it.
Or existing footage that they just kind of put into what they're doing. But,
All right.
Christopher Reeve, and the evolution of all these superheroes, and you're just like, whoa, because it's this weird scene. And I was just like, that for me was a selling point for the movie. If you want to watch the movie, even Adam West, they gave homage.
God bless Adam West.
To all these superheroes, and you're just like, wow, those are pretty cool. And for me, not being a comic book guy, I was more into the 60s, 70s, comics. So
Yeah, right. Maybe.
So that was-
maybe.
that was Thursday, and then Friday, Saturday, I got drunk.
What? No way.
Yeah, and then
On purpose?
Yeah,
Ooh.
yeah, and then yesterday, I went to a foreclosure rehearsal, which is very rare. We never rehearse. And...
Speaking of that,
What?
I got something in the mail today. I think they mailed it to you on accident here.
You opened my mail, didn't you?
I opened your fucking mail. Call the feds. I don't know what this is about, but it looks like something weird.
Huh? Is it? Oh, look at that. Foreclosure. Cliffside Serenades. Mind Power Records. Record 11. The Test Pressing.
Ta-da.
Look at that.
Look what happened, everybody. Now, this is going to
This
piss
is
off your
actually
bandmates because
happening. This is actually happening. Look at that. That's an actual test pressing.
Did you-
Other bands?
Did you tell them?
No.
Oh, okay.
No. Right on.
Somebody call the feds. I go back to jail.
But that's what an actual record looks like.
Imagine being that. I'm not, somebody should talk right now.
Yeah. Not here.
No, we do, but it's not. We don't have a setup yet.
Oh.
But yes, we do. We have a gadget that'll set that up.
How was your week?
Got through a bunch of work, did it well, felt good about it. I don't feel good physically. Went to Santa Barbara to get this guy back. We got our mascot back. And just kind of, and work sucks. So if you need a fabricator, I'm looking for work right now. Other than that, not bad. I've been listening to a lot of fun. Keep finding these abstract bands and shoving them into some Spotify or YouTube and seeing what comes up. So I'm getting a lot of new information on music and fun, which I've been sharing with you. I can't say bad. I wouldn't do it again.
Last week? You wouldn't do it again?
I would. I mean, not all of it.
Yeah. Some weeks are better than others, but I don't know.
Yeah.
Last week's was eventful but uneventful, I guess I should say, huh?
Something like that, yeah.
This week, yesterday was Monday or today? No, today's Monday, huh?
Dude, seriously?
Yeah. See? Oh, man, I drank too much this weekend. Oh, But it was good. It was good drunks. It was
Now
good drunks.
we have to say it again. Like, subscribe. We're on YouTube.
Yes. We're on YouPood.
Whoa. Okay. So nobody steal youpood.com because we're about to fucking buy that. Because youpood.com sounds like the funniest thing I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Right now.
But we're at YouTube at Do Podcast. DUPOXAST.
There's a D in there. Pod. P-O-D.
I did, right? POD.
No, you didn't say that.
I didn't do D.
Like, do you see a D?
Oh no.
You didn't read the
It's
D.
podcast. That's why I said
There's a
you
podcast.
rode.
Oh, you can just look up, you know what you should do. No,
hell is he doing?
something's happening. You can just look up, you know what you should do, DU, at, anywhere on the YouTubes, and we actually come up. Subscribe. Get your kids, like, steal your kids' accounts and subscribe. Get grandma to log in.
Okay, let's see. What else have we got here? Our website goes up in a few weeks, I guess, something that we're told.
Well, it won't be that long, but yeah,
And then we have a store coming out too.
we're gonna have a store.
where you guys can get merchandise from any band that we have.
Any band that's been
if
on.
they want to allow us to do something for them, you can order a shirt from us and other things that we're going to be bringing and presenting in the near future.
It's gonna be a surprise.
Yeah, it's going to surprise us. I'll tell you what.
Can't wait to print the condoms.
Oh, next week is our 31st episode. So what we're going to do is it's just going to be Paul and I
match.
just talking about the first 30 guests that we've had, 30 shows
Yeah.
that we've had, and and just a retrospective of what we've done so far this year, because we still got the remainder of the year that's already booked. We got some great people coming in. Once again, I mean, every week it just gets better and better and
Yeah.
better. What is it like? With each guest, they're actually more involved because
Well, I feel like they're being more engaged because they're watching finally, and they just realize how funny I am. It's nice to have a co-host.
that's how I become a co-host. Like, yeah, bro. What the fuck is this? See, that's why I don't like watching me on.
I don't like watching you either.
This is some good look. My hair,
So wait,
my hair is on point today. I want to say something.
something.
They look like Robin Williams when he was Popeye.
That's the greatest thing I've ever heard in my life. And so what are we doing today?
All right, today we are going up to the Pacific Northwest,
Right.
Portland, Oregon.
You got the helicopter?
Exact. Yep, we're going. We're teleporting right now, and our guest is Peter Saturday, otherwise known is Peter Nehring, but Peter Saturday is a stage name, I guess, is what we call ourselves, because my name really ain't Gizz Lazlo, and nobody knows that. But two bands that I listened to a lot, back in the 90s were Ben Grimm, which I don't know, like I heard them the first time and I was just like, wow, I love this sound, very doughboyish, big drill car, and then I can't remember if it was 2007 or 2017. I think it was 2007.
Have you had a stroke?
Dude, I travel a lot, but I was up in Portland to go see All, and I've met a lot of people that night. I've met a lot of my Canadian friends, like All Financial, all those guys, and their friends, drove down. But one of the guys I met was Peter Nehring, and he was in a band called the Jennifer Echo,
Right.
which, oh man, I don't know why I love that band so much. Just the poppiness to it, it's just really cool. But he's an amazing bass player, amazing person, and every time I hang out with him or we chat, it's just always fun. And he's really, a historian like us when it comes to punk rock.
Yep.
Which is what I love about our friends and our guests that we've had is, we get to learn from them as,
Well, again, it's a deep dive.
That, like there's always bands that none of us all have heard. So that knowledge is what we want to pass on. And today is no different. So I think Pete's ready for us.
Hey there.
There he is. Trying to
What's
talk to
up?
people.
Hello, Peter.
Hello.
How you been?
Good.
Good.
Good. You guys look good too. We have
Yeah,
great
shirt.
shirts on today.
And your
Of
hat.
course. My
One of
hat.
the best
I've had
labels ever.
I discovered this in an old box, and I have a vintage clothing store here in Portland, Oregon for 14 years now. It's called Hollywood Babylon. So I love vintage stuff. So having like a vintage Doughboy shirt, really great. And then finding this in an old box, I'm like, holy shit, vintage Cruise Records hat. Forgot I had that, but ordered it back in the day from the Cruise catalog. Along with, I got an old Descendants 1990 Descendants poster on the wall here that I ordered way back when too. It's like the collage one, which is
I remember that.
Yeah, a lot of people look at that and they're like,
I used to work at the superstore, so I might have sent that to you.
Oh, nice. Yeah, and then I got a vintage Husker Du poster right here, which gets a lot of attention as well. And I do have to mention that I think it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, I went and saw the Descendants play with Dillinger 4 and the Mean Genes here, and they did an after party. Husker Du, basically, I don't know if it's like a cover band, but Greg Norton was playing bass, and it was John Snodgrass from Drag the River and Armchair Martian, and then some guys from this band in Portland called Liquid Light, and they're really great. But they played a set of Husker Du songs, and then Carl Alvarez and Stefan from Descendants all did guest vocals on it for a couple songs there. That was great. And then it got even crazier because after the band that was backing them up, they played a set of All, like a cover band of All, which is pretty fucking hard to do. The bass player was like on it, the drummer on it. They sounded amazing. And I come to find out those guys have a new band with Chad Price. So they live in Portland here. And I was like, these guys are great. And then I find out, they've already got a band with Chad Price. But when I was talking to my girlfriend, at the time there, and I was just like, this is cool. Like, you will never see an All cover band probably ever again in your life. So it was awesome.
I mean, it could happen, but not with those guys for sure.
Yeah.
That sounds fantastic.
I mean, I've never seen anyone do a full set of All songs, probably 20 All songs from all the different eras, which was cool. So
that's really cool.
That had to be practice. That's fantastic, man.
Yeah.
Were you in Vegas when All did all three singers?
No, I wish that I would have went to that.
I was there.
God. I've never
That
seen
was
All with Dave Smalley. That's the one that I've never seen. So I'm pushing for maybe a Dave fronted All show would be fucking awesome.
I mean, I could hold him down if we need to. We're the same size.
Yeah, I've been kind of really wanting some All. I've seen Descendants, a lot over the years, but it's been a while. In fact, Gizz there talking about the 2009 All show where we met at. That was amazing that they did that here. Just a weird one-off show with All. And then I, met a bunch of people there, met you. And I remember I saw it in the paper and I called the venue. I was like, is this All? I called the venue and the guys like the Descendants guys. And I'm like, what? How is this happening here? It was so cool, a weird one-off Scott Reynolds All show.
Yeah.
Wow.
So I was just up there visiting a girl that I was dating. I was up there for the week and I was like, oh, wow, they're playing here. Oh, wow, I'm going to get some tickets. And in line is where I met you.
Yeah. Yeah. That was a really great show too. And it was packed. I wasn't sure. I was thinking, what's it going to be like for All to play in Portland, a one-off shows. And of course it's My Name opened, which was really cool to see them too. God, that was great. I'm lucky for that. I still got my t-shirt that I have from that show. So cool, but I need more All. So All, Descendants, of course, I'm not complaining about more Milo, but I'm missing the All riffs these days. That cover band really got me in the mood.
Good. When are you playing again?
The All band?
No, you. When are you going to play again?
Well, that was a strange.
I do. He's talking about all this. I want to hear. I want to hear more Peter.
I think I'm kind of retired these days.
Oh,
it's
no.
so-
Yeah, I haven't
so-
played. I haven't played it my bass or guitar in a little over a year. But I was writing all of these songs by myself, just in the shop when it was dead. Like it would be like the rainy season. It'll get real slow here, so I just like used GarageBand and plugged in my guitar and my bass, and I do vocals when people would leave the store. I would just like, all right. And I just got in this habit. I wrote like 50 songs. I
Wow.
put up a Bandcamp page that you could check out. I was just using the name The Davis Baby, which was a project that I got together with my friend from Ben Grimm, Joel, who was also in Jennifer Echo, and then the drummer from Jennifer Echo, and then my friend Kevin Carl from Gizz, who one of my favorites. Love those guys.
Oh yeah.
We made a 4-song EP. Originally, it was going to come out. It was supposed to be a 7-inch. That never materialized. But the cool thing about it was I found out that Mark Arnold from Big Drill Car lived, or I think he still lives in Portland, but I haven't seen him in quite a while. But I found out that he lived here, and I got in touch with him, and I was like, hey, you play guitar on one of our songs? And he came into the shop and chatted with him for a while, and then I gave him like the song idea, and he originally gave me the tracks that he recorded for it, and played it for the rest of the guys, and they were like, yeah, that's good. You know, he did the solo, and then he did this outro for the song. But my friends and Kevin from Gizz was like, it's got to be, tell him to be more Mark on it. I was like, that's what I was thinking. We need more like, you know, like whammy, you know, whammy bar and all of that. I said, just so I got in touch with him again, and I was like, hey dude, can you like make it more Mark Arnold? And he's like, well, I was trying to hold back. I didn't think, you know, I don't want to like ruin it with, you know, going overboard. I'm like, no dude, go overboard.
Yeah.
So he did it. He put it in there, and it's like, it's very clear when he comes into the song. I have that song on YouTube. It's called Laid to Rest by the Davis Baby, and it's got him on it as well. And that was like, for me, he's just like one of my favorite guitar players, and he's been in some of my favorite bands, like clearly Big Drill Car. You're wearing the shirt. Really fucking awesome. And then ran into him again at one of the previous Descendant shows, talked to him for a while. And originally I was just like, maybe I need to try to start a band with him. But, you know, I know he's busy. I think he's still doing sound for bands. I saw him
doing
I saw him with the
Rocket from the
Lemonhead.
Crypt.
Yeah, he was doing that, and he was doing Lemonheads. I ran into him at a Lemonhead show too, and he was behind, you know, doing the sound. And then for one of his songs, it was one of the songs that the Lemonheads did, or that they did with Bill and Carl, and he was doing the Jay Mascis, like Dinosaur Jr. He was playing the guitar in the sound booth. I was like, where the fuck is that? I look back, and Mark Arnold's playing guitar behind there. I was like,
No,
that's great.
way.
I'm getting a little bit of Mark here on guitar. So that was
I
rad.
wish you could see that.
That would be amazing just to look back.
You guys should start a band called like Little Dough Truck or something like.
Yeah.
Sound.
Yeah.
Sound
Very cool.
sound booth car.
So I was looking around for him when I'm, you know, walking around. I'm like, where's the super tall dude with the, you know, long, you know, shaggy blonde hair? He's got to be around here somewhere.
Man.
So really cool.
So we were listening through like some of your earlier stuff, and like Sunday Flood. I was listening to that. I was like, holy shit, what was I equating that to?
I can't remember.
There was like a little bit of
Sunday Flood's a band from the Fox
Wisconsin.
Valley. I'm not in
Yeah.
that one. I was not in that
No?
one. But we played with them quite a bit.
well, why
So-
did you tell me this? I've been lied to. I want to break up.
I was looking through one of your pages, and I was looking at all the flyers, and I was just like, oh yeah, I remember this band. Why? And I assumed that you were in
I
that
did
band
try to
too.
start a band with the guy from Sunday Flood. We recorded a couple demos. It never like materialized into anything. I did that between when Ben Grimm ended and I moved back to Wisconsin. I mean, Ben Grimm was primarily in Wisconsin, but I
Right.
moved away. We tried to do Ben Grimm in Florida. And then when I moved back to Wisconsin, I got together with the drummer of Ben Grimm and the guy from Sunday Flood, and we tried to put something back together. But at that time, I was just over Wisconsin. I didn't want to really be there anymore. And it felt sort of dead endy. I mean, I feel like it was I think it was. I think today it's probably easier, but I think back in the 90s and probably early 2000s, being from Wisconsin was not a really great credential for your band when you're sending out demos and shit. I always felt like that sort of hindered us.
I mean, okay, it's not Wisconsin specific, but like Dandy Warhols, Guided by Voices. There were some of those mitten bands. I said the mitten because of like the mitten.
Yeah,
Minnesota, Michigan,
Minnesota had a way better track record, obviously, for fucking rad bands like Replacements and Soul Asylum, like early Soul Asylum, and Wisconsin had a few cool bands like. We had like Boris the Sprinkler with Reverend Norb they're still doing stuff. We played with them, tons when I was in King Friday, and then also in Ben Grimm, and we got Reverend Norb. Actually, I got a couple of records. I pulled out some records here that I had at the shop, but this Ben Grimm record is it features Reverend Norb on lead vocals on one of the songs. He does we covered Civilization's Dying by the Zero Boys in Ben Grimm. And I just went up to him once and I was like, hey dude, we're going to record this song. Would you sing lead vocals on it? And he's like, of course I will. And I said, do we have to pay you? He said, just get me like 5 rolls of Sweet Tarts. And I shit you not. So we went and bought the Sweet Tarts, and he's like, came to the studio. Their bass player was the one who recorded all of the Ben Grimm stuff, the Boris, at Simple Studios, I think it was. And Norb just busted out the vocals for it. It's a really great version of that song too. He does a really awesome job on the vocals, and it's classic Norb. But that's all he wanted. Sweet Tarts. That was his thing.
Did you pay those in advance?
I want a copy of them now.
Yeah, we didn't pay him in advance. I had him ready when he came to the studio.
Okay.
And he actually, when the record was released, we did when we did like a release show for it. He came and sang for we did that song, and he came on stage and did the vocals for it. So that was great.
You want 10 rolls at that time?
He didn't ask for Sweet Tarts or anything at that time, but I don't know anymore if he's still eating the Sweet Tarts or,
maybe he saved them and he's like, these are from that thing.
Yeah. But
he's gonna try to sell them back to you.
Another really great band you guys might have heard of from Wisconsin that was one of my favorites was Alligator Gun. Have you heard Alligator Gun?
I've heard the name. I'm pretty sure I've heard a track or two, but I'm not hyper familiar with them.
Okay. Gizz, have you heard them?
No.
Oh, dude. So they put out an album in 95 called 100% Freak, and it's produced by Bill and Stefan. And it sounds like they're like one of those bands. It's got a bass player, Scott Shanebeck. He's like Carl Alvarez. Like I would just go when I would watch Alligator Gun, I would go and sit myself over where he was playing bass because he was like that good. The finger style, like a Bob Thompson, Carl style. But anyway, they got signed to Relativity, and I remember him telling me, he's like, dude, we're recording with Bill and Stefan. We're so nervous.
So awesome.
And I remember he told me they went there and to record, and they played for him. And then he mentioned something like Bill was like, you guys need to practice for the weekend. So they tightened themselves back up because, when you're recording with someone like Bill, you've got to have that shit dialed in. But
I've heard a lot of that. I've heard a lot of that from different people that we've interviewed. Is when they recorded with him, he was like, "Oh, why don't you guys, come back on Monday?"
And so for the news, we're referencing Bill Stevenson, the original drummer from the Black Flag, and the original drummer singer from the Descendants, who is an absolute saint and a genius musician.
Definitely influenced my style. So.
Oh yeah,
hell yeah! But yeah, check that band out. They played a lot of those shows. Wisconsin actually had a really great punk rock scene. So when I got into it, probably late 80s was when I really got into the punk scene. Probably 87. There was a place called Kutzkus Hall in Green Bay, which was like the venue, where you'd see like these guys, Doughboys. One of my first shows there was seeing the Doughboys on the Home Again tour, and that just
Whoa.
fucking blew my mind. Was them, and there was another really awesome band that I got to mention from Wisconsin, because I do want to give some Wisconsin bands some props. Is this band called Vesicular Basalt? They were
Testicular assault?
not testicular, but vesicular, like the rock. There's like a, I think they named it
Basalt with a B.
Vesicular with a V, Vesicular Basalt. They were like my high school teen friends, and they were so good that they were playing with bands like SNFU, you know,
Shit.
Doughboys, Big Drill Car, 7 Seconds, and I would just like, they were like high school celebrities basically. But they, if you check out some of their stuff from, I think their first album's from '88, and then their last one's maybe like 1995. They were really great. Really, that band should have went somewhere. It was just, I feel like it was hard for Wisconsin bands to break through, but they were playing all those shows up in Kutzkus Hall, and all of these bands, come to find out, that would tour and play in Green Bay, they could not wait to play Kutzkus Hall, because especially the bands like All and Doughboys, like when Doughboys played on the Crush tour there, it was like sold out. It was insane. So they knew, a lot of these bands knew that this was their place where they're almost like elevated rock stars on their tour.
Right.
So that was one of my favorite places. It was that place. And then after that closed, my friend, Tom Smith, Time Bomb Tom, he's a pretty legendary promoter there, and a guy named Rich Winker, they would do shows at Concert Cafe in Green Bay, Wisconsin. And that was one of the main places that Ben Grimm would play. King Friday days was more like Kutzkus Hall era stuff. And that was early 90s when we were doing King Friday. So it was a really great scene to jump into. But being a band from Wisconsin, it was hard to really get traction, because there wasn't a lot. It wasn't like being an LA band is like you roll into town and you're from Wisconsin. It's not quite the same effect. Like, oh, you're from the cheese state. Cool.
Well, I mean, there wasn't a lot of tourist like traction. There was not a lot of like, foot traffic through Wisconsin looking for punk bands, right?
Right. But why was Minneapolis? Why was that scene so like?
That's you know what? Because I think the Twins were popular in the early '80s because they were good. Like that's the only answer I can have. Or
always
or the Stars, the Minnesota North Stars were really good. Like that's the only thing I can even think of, because nobody, like, there's not like it's not a foot traffic kind of place, especially like anytime after June, May. At that point, it just goes to shit. So
right.
And like in retrospect and backing up, like what was your first step? Like what was the thing that turned your head on end and you're like, oh my God, I want to play this kind of music, or this is the music I want to listen to forever? What was that first moment?
Okay, so I'd say there's kind of two moments. There was one when I was just getting into skateboarding as a, younger kid, and I didn't really know what the fuck was going on. I just saw these really awesome t-shirts everyone was wearing, all like the Pusshead stuff and Zorlak and all of that, and all these bands that I had no idea. For a little while, I remember when I was young, I thought Descendants were from Wisconsin. I was like, when are they going to play next? I didn't know what the hell was going on. But, people kind of told me what was up. And then my brother had all of these records. It's always cool to have an older brother who's kind of, introducing you to stuff. And I remember hearing like Husker Du for the first time, totally loved it. I heard, like Black Flag, Circle Jerks, all this stuff. And mainly my friends and I would just go skateboarding to that stuff. We'd put the boombox out, get our little ramp going, and play all this punk stuff. But then one day, my friend, Tim Reinhardt, who we started King Friday together, he said, yeah, there's that band that we heard about, the Descendants. My friend has got a tape of the Descendants. And I said, oh, I want to hear what they sound like. He's like, they're not from Wisconsin, just so you know, not from a local band. And I was like, I know. But I remember, I'll never forget the day. We went over to this guy's house, this guy named Eric, and he gave us a blank cassette. I had never heard the Descendants before. Okay. I heard all of this other stuff, Replacements, loved it. All right. And I remember I went up to his doorstep and he brought the tape out and he's like, yeah, here's this tape. It's called Descendants All. And I said, oh, cool. I said, what do they sound like? This is the funniest thing. I'll never forget this. I said, what do these guys sound like? And he said, it's like a mix between Whitney Houston and Metallica. And I was like, what? And I said, I remember we got on our skateboards and I was like, Whitney Houston and Metallica? What the fuck is he talking about? And we went down in my brother's room, put it in. And of course, the first thing is, just all, say all. And then Coolidge kicks in and like everything that I had heard before was awesome. But I heard Coolidge for the first time and it made every hair stand up. I just couldn't even believe how much I fucking loved that song. I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is everything I've ever wanted. And I guess like that was before people were really calling it like pop punk in the way that they call it. I didn't even really know how to describe it. It was just so catchy. And all of their lyrics felt, I'm sure you guys can probably relate to this. It felt like they wrote the song was about my life as like a teenager.
Yeah.
And that was the one thing about that band I could never get over is like, getting dumped or rejected or whatever in high school. You think it's the end of the world, but it's not the end of the world. Like Pep Talk. I remember Pep Talk
happen again.
Holy shit. This is it. And everything about it was, unfortunately I got into it a little too late and I never got to see Descendants in the 80s.
Right.
But I did discover my friend from Ben Grimm, who I later went and formed Ben Grimm with, my friend Joel. He brought over the Doughboys, Home Again with All Roy Says, and what else did he? There was one other record he had. Oh, Dag Nasty, Can I Say?
Yeah.
He brought those three over into my room, and he said, yeah, I know you love the Descendants, but there's a new band that's like 3/4 Descendants, and the singer of this band here, Dag Nasty. And I was like, what the fuck? I heard that, and then I was like, oh my God, it's still going. Like I can still, see these, and then after that, it was like everything was all, and wanted to sound like all, and wanted to be, and then Cruise Records, like Big Drill Car. Big Drill Car played. That was one of my like first like real punk shows was going to see Big Drill Car in this pretty small city that I lived. They played at this place called the Ridgeway, and it was that band Vesicular Assault that I was talking about that kind of sound like Big Drill Car. And it was 7 Seconds, and they were on the Soul Force Revolution tour, I believe, which I was fucking stoked about that because that poppy era of 7 Seconds, I feel like doesn't get enough love. I love that era of that band. I don't know. A lot of people are like, that sucks, but Big Drill Car opened for them. And I saw my friend and Tim from King Friday. We went to the show. It was so close, it was right in town. And we saw Big Drill Car, and I was like, oh my God, this is like, reminds me of Descendants. And then we went up to Bob Thompson at the end of the show. I'll never forget it. We went up to him and we said, because he had the dreads and everything, like, you see the picture of the sand falling onto their hair for the Just Perfect thing, the single. Oh, yeah. And he looked just like Carl Alvarez. And we went up to him and we said, are you Carl Alvarez? Because he sounded like him on bass too. And he said, no, my name's Bob. It's Bob. That's all he said. And then we turned around. We're like, okay. And then they were all sold out of their record and their t-shirt. I didn't get to buy one. But then like a month later, I went to this place called the Exclusive Company, which was one of the biggest record stores, independent stores. And I saw Type Thing on CD and I said, that's that band. Oh. And I grabbed it, 1989, went home with it and was just like the same thing happening again with like the chills. I was like, this is so fucking good.
Oh yeah.
And then I was a fan of them and saw them with, Big Drill Car played with All a bunch of times. And I saw the Chemical People played, Doughboys with Down by Law, really great shows throughout that time period. So that's what it all started with. Descendants All was when I like really wanted to play music. That was the catalyst of that. And then my friend Tim, who was the guitarist for King Friday, he was into all the same stuff too. We liked all the punk stuff a lot too, and wanted to do that until we heard Descendants for the first time. Then it's like we wanted to do that. We wanted to put the pop in there too. So I don't know if like you guys, if you have a similar story with Descendants, or was an inspiration like that to you.
And I've said it, probably forever now, that I'm more of an All fan than a Descendants fan, and that pisses people off. But I am. I'm not saying I don't like the Descendants. I just think they're two different bands.
They are.
They are.
And
they really are.
I love Milo, but I love, Smalley,
Yeah. I don't think Smalley era gets enough credit either. A lot of people, I don't like the Smalley stuff. I'm like, dude, it's
agree,
great.
man. SSD
And there's
control.
the Scott era. This is how
Scott's
I equate it. Okay. This is how I've always equated it. The Smalley era is when you're young and in love and a girl breaks your heart and you just want to kill yourself.
Wait, that was yesterday.
The Scott Reynolds era is that I'm growing up and I'm still heartbroken, but
I got over it.
Yeah, I'll get over it.
Yeah.
Chad Price era is, look, bitch, I don't need you.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you broke my heart, but because in spite of that, I'm gonna survive. Fuck you. There's other women.
I'm challenging you to write the 3 stages of all breakups as an emotional fucking reset.
Song?
No, just an
band?
album.
Oh. What is okay? Question to you two: what is the best all record in your opinion?
All Ray saves.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Pummel.
Okay, I'm a Revenge.
Ooh.
Revenge. I feel like that's that's always been my favorite, but I love pretty much all of their records.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Same here.
Yeah.
Like,
But if I had to choose one, okay. And
But
Breaking Things too.
Breaking Things is great. Also, that was a whole different energy that they had.
Pummel just, I don't know that, Long Distance, that song, man. That's one of my favorite songs.
When did Pummel come out? That was 1995.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I have an interesting story. I was actually working at the SST Superstore in Hollywood on Sunset, and this guy comes in. He's asking like, "Hey, what's the new all album like?" I'm like, "I know that voice. Who is it?" I'm like, he goes, "Is it good?" I'm like, "Well, just put it on," because we had the 100 CD changer, the big fucker. I'm like, "Well, just put it on." And we're sitting there. He's like, "Yeah, I'll take it." I'm like, "Well, what format?" Because we had CDs at the time. I think it was CDs and vinyl. It was like both CD and vinyl. And I got his credit card. And I was like, "Oh, it's Ricky Rackman." I was like, I knew that voice from somewhere. I was like, all right, dude, that's funny as shit. Like that guy is an actual music connoisseur.
Yeah.
And like he like full on like grabbed an all album that just come out. I'm like, holy shit.
Wow. I've got a kind of a funny little all story. Right around that time, it was I don't know if there's I think it might have been in between Breaking Things and Pummel, but I called in sick. I was working at this printing press, this company up in the Fox Valley, and I called in sick to work. I was working the graveyard shift, and me and my girlfriend drove down to Milwaukee to see All, and they played at this place called Shank Hall, and I showed up to the show. Everything's cool. Carl comes out. Okay, this was when I was in the band King Friday, so they come out on stage, and Carl Alvarez has a King Friday. He has one of our shirts on. And I just about lost my mind. I mean, whatever. I was a mega fan. My mind was blown. I was like, what the fuck? And the guys from Alligator Gun were all there, and they like turned around. They're like, he's wearing a King Friday shirt. And I said, I don't know why. Come to find out. So at the end of the show, and that was a show that Milo did. He did an encore with them because Milo was living in Madison, Wisconsin. He was up at the university there for years. That's where he lived. And so he showed up. So that was even better then the Milo comes out and, the shirts. By that time, I think Carl had taken the shirt off, though, because he was always eventually like shirtless. But he was like waiting around. He's such a great guy. He was waiting around on the side of the stage. And I walked up to him and I said, "You've got my band King Friday. You have our shirt on." And he said, "Yeah, your friend in Cincinnati gave me this shirt and said, will you wear this shirt? It's my friend's band. And he gave him like a little demo tape, and he's like, I haven't listened to the demo tape. He said, but I like the graphics, and it was a King Friday rim job shirt, which had this hippo getting ready to eat another hippo's ass. And he's like, I really like the graphics, so I was like sold. And he wore it, and I ended up talking to him for a while. I mean, just shows you how nice of a guy he is to do that for like just some mega fan whose mind was blown. I remember driving back, like it was a couple hour drive. I was like, wait till they could tell the guys from the band, like he had a King Friday shirt. I had all these pictures, and then I saw that the show is on YouTube. I'll have to try to dig it out again, but I'm like, there it is. There's my shirt. It wasn't a dream. But back then, that was like one of the best things that could have.
Oh, I can't believe you didn't say, hey, do you want me to autograph that?
Yeah.
That's what I would have done immediately. Like, oh, do you want me to
I'll autograph it. Turn around. There you go.
Yeah.
But that was like,
immediately.
What's your name again?
Yeah.
Carl,
so that was a high point.
Oh,
that is
absolutely, cool. Man. Come on.
And I
agree, Carl is a sweetheart.
Yeah, super nice guy.
I mean, I've literally all over the world, like, Descendants are playing, I'm in town playing with some band, and one of my bands, and we'll run into each other,
Yeah. And I mean, you're a pretty easily recognizable guy. I got to be honest.
No.
Well, no, actually, I've heard people call him Ron Jeremy once or twice. So what made you? I mean, other than Carl Alvarez, apparently, like what was the impetus for bass?
So bass. That's the instrument I definitely took up for King Friday. I was just the singer, and that started. So King Friday started in late 1992, and we played a couple shows. Me and the guitarist had gotten kicked out of this band that he had started. I feel like a really bad person. I was thinking about it today. I was like, he started this band called Thread File. It was 1990 or maybe late 1989. And he started this band Thread File, and he came over one day, Tim, the guitar player, and he knocked on my door and said, hey, what's up? He's like, yeah, I'm starting a band. And I said, oh, that's awesome. And he's like, you're the singer. And I said, no, I'm not the singer. And he said, you're singing for the band. You don't have a choice. And I said, I'm not singing for the band. And he was kind of a tough guy. He was like, he beat people up and stuff and like had my back. He was like, you're singing for this band, whether you fucking like it or not. And I was like, oh, what? I went, okay. And he's like, get in the car. We're going to go to the practice space. I went to the practice space, and he gave me the microphone. He's like, start making some shit up. And I started writing some stuff down, and I sang for the first time, but I was facing the wall. I was so nervous. And then at the end of that, he was like, you did pretty good. Just like, let's keep doing it. And then I gained a little more confidence. And then the other two guys in the band decided that they wanted to kick Tim out of the band. And Tim was one of my best friends, Tim Reinhardt, one of my best friends of all time. He got kicked out of the band. And then they changed the name to Liquid Kid. Like, these guys were suddenly running the show. And I was like, I don't know how good I feel about this decision, because he's my best friend. Right. And then I still stayed in the band. I was like, well, I guess I can just be in the band still. No big deal. I felt really bad about it. Then those guys, after I did like 2 or 3 shows with those guys, they kicked me out of the band. And I said, why are you kicking me out of the band? They're like, we don't like you want to do, because I was like pushing to do kind of like Husker Du style stuff, like more melodic. They wanted to kind of do like weird, almost like Black Flaggy instrumental weirder stuff. And they're like, you don't fit in the band anymore. I got kicked out. I felt embarrassed. I felt even more embarrassed to my friend, Tim Reinhardt, who's one of my best friends, that we didn't talk for a little while. And I remember eventually in 1992, after we had graduated high school, he'd come to my front door and he was like, hey man, heard you got kicked out of the band. I was like, yep. And he's like, want to start a new band? And I said, yeah, let's start. We'll go back to where we started. I'm like, I promise I won't, we'll
kick you out this time, man.
I'll have your back this time. I still feel bad about that shit, but we started a band called King Friday, and we got a great bass player, this guy, Jason Ross, and our friend Matt was the drummer. And our friend Jason Ross had set up tons of shows. He was kind of legendary in the scene. He worked at the record store. We just went in there, hey man, you want to play bass? And we didn't think he, know what he was going to say. And he was like, yeah. So he came and started playing with us. We played one show, and then our second show, he's like, hey, I got us another show. And I said, what is it? He said, it's at Kutzka's Hall. We're going to open for the Hard-Ons. And I was like, holy shit. So it's like our second show. He was like, it was either going to be Hard-Ons or Big Drill Car, but they gave the promoter, he knew the promoter pretty well. And we were playing with the Hard-Ons, which was the Too Far Gone tour. You know, they got that album. It's a little more metal. It was so great to, you know, see those guys, because they weren't a band that would come and tour a lot, you know? So we opened for them. That was just the start of it. And then from that point on, we had a good show. We were on, and then the promoters just kept, you know, putting us on shows with like the Queers and one of Propagandhi and their How to Clean Everything. We opened for them. The Parasites, all of those bands around that time. At the Drive-In we opened for.
Oh, no shit.
In Neenah. Like the drummer from Ben Grimm, before he was a drummer at Ben Grimm, was like this punk kid that was setting these shows up. And I still have the flyer for it. I look back on it and I say, I can't believe we fucking opened for At the Drive-In. I can't believe our drummer was like, he was kind of a numbnut back then. We all were. And he's setting up these shows, renting out these huge halls. And, you know, he's got these really rad bands that he's got, you know, a friend of ours working security. So we just continued on with King. What's that?
What's he doing now?
What's he doing now? Yeah.
Not show promoting. So, but we continued on, and then eventually we did one tour in King Friday. Went out for like 3.5 weeks. It was really fun. It was my first time getting a taste of touring. It was, you know, hard. Some of the touring stuff, like Gizz, I mean, you tour a ton, you know. Either you like it or you don't, and some of the people didn't like it that much. But we ended up breaking up. The band ended up breaking up after that. We played with some pretty cool bands on our first tour. This band called Sleeper or Serpico, which was really fucking amazing band from Staten Island. John Lisa. I was friends with him. He set us up at a show, this kind of like straight edge show. We were not the right fit. Everyone sat down on the floor when we played, and there's like no disrespect to us, but we weren't, you know, that scene. But he still put us on the show, and then when they got up, everyone stood up and was having a good time. It's like, oh, okay, well, whatever. We played with them. And then another of my favorite bands we got to play with on the King Friday tour was this band called The Fiends. Have you ever heard The Fiends?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's a bunch of them actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. The one with the Z. So
yeah.
They made a one of their albums that I would put up there with, like, you know, Home Again. It's this album called Whacked from, I think, 1990 or 91. That album just blew my mind. We got to play with them. We met those guys, but that band just, it just didn't, the drummer and the guitarist did not get along towards the end, and they just broke up on stage, and we called it quits. I started playing bass, back to the original question, but started playing bass. My roommate had his bass sitting around that he never played, and I started just tinkering on it. And of course, things were starting to make sense to me, and my bass influence was, of course, Carl. I just like wanted to be Carl, and then I wanted to be Ed from the Chemical People, and you know, Bob from Big Drill Car, and all that. That was like my big influence, and those bands were really popular in that area of Wisconsin, in Green Bay, and then we lived about 35 miles south of Green Bay, so we would go up to see the shows there, and there was a great scene in like the Fox Valley, Neenah, Appleton, you know, Oshkosh, Bagosh, Oshkosh area. There was a great scene there too, like a mini scene there. Tons of, you know, kids going to shows, renting out VFW halls, all of that stuff. It was so fun. And yeah, that was I wanted to be Carl. So that was, in a nutshell, it was all about that Cruise Records style of bass playing. Yeah. If I heard, like, let me just say, like, the For Sale, Hanging by a Thread, like some of that bass playing on that fucking song, insane.
Yeah,
fucking love it.
That song
is like I'll go on about that song in a second, but
Where-
go ahead.
Where did you hear it first? Where was the first place you heard "Hang by a Thread"?
Oh my God, the Shreds, Volume 1, the
Okay.
compilation. It was my favorite song on there. There's some fucking good bands on there, but that
Yeah, there
song,
is.
I remember, if my memory serves me right, that song opens that comp, and that was a popular compilation at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
I think No Effects was on it, and was Jawbreaker on it too?
I want to say yes.
They might have been on it,
Box.
No,
It
Jawbreaker.
was Jawbreaker. Yeah.
but
was-
that
there was
song, holy shit!
Parasites on it, Mr.
Yeah,
Teaspoon.
Parasites.
Oh, yeah.
All of my
Yeah.
friends, literally, that song was a staple on people's mixtapes. We were like, where is this band? How can we find more? I mean, it had that vibe. I don't know if you hear it, but it definitely had that Home Again vibe. I was like, this fucking band, that's one of my favorite pop punk songs of the 90s for sure. And it's a lot of other friends of mine that I've known love that goddamn song. We just wanted more, and I eventually got that For Sale 7-inch with Teenager in Love,
Right.
but I needed more.
Uh,
I just needed more of it, and I was like, where is this? Come on.
that band just grew out of me out of necessity to do something while I was going through chemotherapy, just to keep my mind occupied.
So it was like a kind of a fluke band.
Yeah, it was like I was playing drums for the original Dead Lazlo's place and
Okay.
singing, and when I was diagnosed with cancer, I couldn't play drums anymore. So I stopped playing drums, and Lewis was just like, dude, just sing, and we started writing those songs. And then
So
we got a
good.
couple of guys in the band and did it. But when we're going back to Hanging by a Thread, when we recorded the original version of that for the Welcome to California,
Yeah, DLP.
it was an original DLP song, and when I sang it, I hated the vocals on it. It was way too
The original
Bob-
version of it that you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, it sounded like Bob Dylan. It was like everything was here, like right. And that same
I mean, it
rain.
wasn't that bad. It was just you.
But it was like developing, developing my fucking voice. And then
I'm working on it.
But when we did the original recording of it, Steve, our bass player, he came in and he was just kind of playing the roots of that, and we were
Mhm.
like, dude, come on, something bouncy, do something,
Yeah.
like all Big Joe Carr,
Yeah.
dude,
Was he a finger player, or was that
Yeah.
all finger stuff? Cool.
and then he's like, well, I got this idea, and I was like, all right, what is it? It was like, whoa, that's this whole song. Like
Right.
without that, you have no song.
It is it's a huge part of that song. Like when that
Yeah.
kicks in, you're like, fuck yeah.
And then Sharif Damani came in. He was a lot younger than us, and he came in because he had started his first band. Sharif Damani, he was in Buford, and then he had the Dining Room Set, but his first band was Something from Nothing.
Right.
And dude, that band was just amazing. And we were mixing that song, and I'm like, dude, this song needs something. You're really good at those backup vocals. Can you come in and help me, figure something out? And he's like, yeah. He goes into the sound booth, the vocal booth, and they start playing the track. And from as soon as the song comes in, he's like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
Oh, dude, that's like the core. It's like a mega chorus. Is what? Yeah, it's got a fucking anthem.
But on the original recording, if you hear it, that whoa, whoa, whoa part is on the whole thing. It's on the verses, on the choruses.
Oh wow, that might be a little overkill, right?
It was. So when
Yeah.
we remixed it for Sale, when we remixed it and I redid the vocals on it, I already had a sense of melody, and we've been listening to a lot of Doughboys.
Yeah, I can tell.
And that's where we kind of mix it. I was all right, take it off on the verses. I only want it on the choruses, and and then with that bass line and that backing vocal, dude, that song,
Yeah, it's one of my favorites. And like I said, all my friends that they were fucking way into it. I always wonder, like, why wasn't there more For Sale? Like, what did it just,
We did it for about a year and a half, and then when we started playing shows, it just I got busy with Bad Town Boys,
Okay.
and Lewis wanted to go do Buford. We just kind of went. You know,
We
it
all
was
wanted For Sale to play at Green Bay at Kutzkus Hall. We're like, maybe these guys will come play. 'cause
we never toured as
Yeah.
you know.
You just got kicked
For Sale.
out.
No, we just stopped
Yeah.
because it was just like everybody was in other bands. So you know, it's like, all right, well, you
Well,
know,
I mean,
we all went our separate ways.
getting the
musically.
opening on that comp too probably didn't hurt either. Being the first track was like fucking.
No.
It's like that, you know, the big one where you hear that big drill car version of Takeaway.
Takeaway. Yeah.
Oh
It's
my
like,
God.
holy fuck. I don't know about you,
Yeah.
but that version is
Yeah, we
it's like
dude.
fucking the best.
The other night, or was it last after the last show?
It was before the last show.
Oh no, it was that one Friday we got together. And we were
Right.
just hanging out, and we were in his office, and we were listening to all these songs, and he puts on, oh yeah, I want to listen to.
Well, Takeaway, the
we
big
were
drill car.
drinking, and he's like, I want to listen to Takeaway, but he put on the album version. I'm like,
Yeah.
no. It
No,
has
no,
to
no,
be fucking
What a
the
difference.
big one. It has to be the comp,
Oh,
and we did the difference, and dude,
So good.
that's-
and
Yeah.
we were just talking tonight about like Big Drill Car, Doughboys, and then All Systems Go, and like how much influence that actually had moving forward. I don't think people really give them enough credit for like going, oh shit, we can actually smooth our sound out and
Yeah.
be that pop sound. Like those guys. I mean, I saw one of my favorite shows. I saw Big Drill Car, Down by Law, Olive Lund, and Fluff in one place.
Wow. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fucking
it was at
awesome.
the Whiskey, and it's like you can't recreate that ever.
Yeah.
And it's just Big Drill Car, Doughboys, and then All Systems Go. Like, holy shit, that really did influence an entire section of sound moving forward.
generation of music right there.
Yeah.
Did any of you guys ever get to see All Systems Go live, or I never
Yeah,
got to
I saw him a
I
bunch
did
of times.
Oh, you did
saw him.
with
Yeah,
Frank, or
yeah, with Frank.
I know Carl was in it too for a while. I remember Carl
That was in
Alvarez.
the later. That was a later
Yeah.
version.
It's like, damn, that
um,
shit would have been good.
I saw the original version when it was John, Frank, Mark, and a guy named Matt on drums.
Okay.
And that was an amazing lineup. And then Frank left, and they got that other kid in.
Yeah.
I can't remember what his name is right now, but that version was cool. I didn't like.
I wasn't super into it after getting Frank and then going to that other guy. I was kind of like, I don't know. I mean, I like it.
Yeah, it changed. The sound definitely changed. I love everything that John Kastner did, but I just didn't like his songs as much. That Motorbikes really turned me off.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's a catchy song.
Yeah.
but
The chorus is good, but I'm like, I don't know.
I just always. I think it was more of my friends. You know.
But backing down from there, even there's none of that without the Descendants at all.
No, yeah.
That's true.
Like, I mean, really, the Descendants, it was just that, like, wow. I mean, and beyond that, like, you can keep tracing it back, and that's the fun. That's what we're doing on the show,
Yeah.
is looking at that stuff.
The funny thing about All Systems Go, even though I never got to see All Systems Go, and when I was in Ben Grimm, we played, I think it was 97, 98. We opened for the Doughboys at the Concert Cafe. It was their last show ever before they reformed and played with like the Foo Fighters and did that reunion.
Yeah.
We got asked to play that show, and I, flipped out. We were all just like such big Doughboys fans. And I talked to the promoter. I was like, oh my God, this was the time when Turn Me On was around. I said, is Wiz going to be there? Because we were also huge Mega City 4 fans.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit, we're going to see Wiz with Doughboys. And at that time, we still assumed that he was in the band and they were going to make like another record with him, which I think arguably my favorite Doughboys lineup is the Home Again lineup, is hands down.
I
like,
agree.
that is like the best
John.
best of everything. But the only thing that could top that, not even top it, but tie it, would be Wiz in the Doughboys sharing vocals on a new album. But come to find out, he had already left the band. And when we got to the show, it was Mark Arnold was playing guitar for the Doughboys for their very last show. They were apparently on tour with the Offspring for like a mini tour.
Right.
And then we played with them and then talked to them for quite a while after the show. And I remember talking to Kastner and Mark, and they were like, I said, so what's going on? This is your last show? And they said, well, I don't know. We're thinking maybe about continuing the Doughboys, but we're not sure. We want to mix it up with the rhythm section, but we might just start a new band and it's probably going to be with Frank from Big Drill Car. Thought, wow,
All in.
that's awesome. Then, you know, a year later, they, you know, released that album, and that was like pretty much a dream come true, is combining those bands. But that was definitely a high point in Ben Grimm. Was opening for the Doughboys was one of my favorite things. Like, we played some good shows with like Face to Face, and yeah, we had we did a lot of open for a lot of great bands in Green Bay, and then did a couple tours in Ben Grimm as well. But that was a very high point, was being able to play their last show. It was just weird knowing it was going to be their last show. It's kind of strange, but I think they're having label problems, and obviously they weren't getting along. And
it was that whole era with like labels, and you know,
they're Canadian.
But I mean, everything was kind of, that was that turning point of like, we don't all want to be on big labels. People are learning how to record digitally and seeing if they can skirt all of that shit and actually make their own money for themselves. It's like,
right.
You know, like, you know, as a business owner, like, why'd you open your own shop? Well, because you don't want to work for somebody.
Exactly.
You know, and it's the same idea. Like, hey, look, we're a band. We can print fucking stickers. We can sell tickets. We can book our own shows. Why are we relying on a label to fucking front us too much money to record an album that costs way more than you front us, that we owe you on the back end, and we get a penny a record? Like, like, fuck off, big labels. And that's the bigger part of the whole punk rock ethos, really.
Yeah. And I think that the Doughboys at that time were just sort of, they had somehow missed the American market with like Shine and stuff. I thought they were going to be really huge when they did their major label album, but I gotta say, Crush is my least favorite Doughboys album. I think it's got, I love some of the songs on it, but I think it's got the most filler. Like, some of my favorite songs, but I thought that since the Green Day thing was going huge, that they would, I mean, they had like a cool look and they were exciting to watch, and they'd inspired Ben Grimm. We had back in the day, we had kind of a similar Doughboys look. We all had dreadlocks and you know, jumped around and, you know, all of that stuff, but they were a big inspiration. And I feel like that was a pretty exciting time in the 90s to be in, you know, like a pop punk band, because all these bands were getting signed. So, you know, it was always in the back of your head. We're like, well, even though we're from Wisconsin, who knows? Maybe something will happen.
I mean,
but
you know, once you get on tour and you do the thing and you get the, you know, the outward impression for people, there's no reason to think you can't. You know, there's always that showcase moment where you might actually get some guy goes, holy fuck, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard.
Yeah. We had a few like pretty cool moments in Ben Grimm, but you know, with some labels that were interested in us, but unfortunately, one of the main members of the band ended up quitting when things were getting good. But from what I understood is he didn't like to go. He did not like the tours. We toured twice for a month each time with this band called Fun Size from Virginia, who absolutely fucking
Dude,
amazing.
That band.
They're like they were like our brother band, because the drummer from Fun Size was my neighbor in Wisconsin. He moved to Richmond, Virginia in the, I think, late 80s. And we were, you know, all into, you know, Doughboys, Descendants, Chemical People. He moved out there, and then he eventually started a band there. And then he, years later, probably, I guess that was probably 90, 96, 97. He said, yeah, I got a new band called Fun Size. And they came and they played in the Fox Valley with Ben Grimm. And, you know, we had our shit together pretty good. And I thought we played a pretty good show that night. And then Fun Size got on stage, and holy fuck, they had that energy of like the original, like those old Doughboys videos where it's just like insane, like energy that you're like, where is this coming from?
The guitarist and the bass player, they were clearing the amps, like the heads, with their jumps and synchronized, and just you know, tucking their knees up, skinny little fucks.
Yeah, that was so yeah. Those guys were huge influence, and then they eventually. So I was already friends with them, and then the drummer Alan, who's still a great friend of mine, he was like, "We're going on tour. Do you want to come? Come on tour with us for a month." So we went and toured with them, and they were on Fueled by Ramen, which was a pretty rad label, the Less Than Jake. And we played. I remember we played this show. One of the best memories of Ben Grimm playing the show in Gainesville with this band Blacktop Cadence, which was one of the members of Hot Water Music, and then Fun Size and us, and the guys from Less Than Jake were at the show, and we got done playing, and the Less Than Jake guys were all like buying our stuff and like our t-shirts, and I was like, whoa, what the fuck? And then I ended up going outside and talking to Chris DeMakes from Less Than Jake with the other guys from Fun Size too about the Doughboys. It was like, he said, you guys, like Ben Grimm, you remind us of the Doughboys. Like, you even look like the Doughboys. And at that time we were all jumping around and doing all that shit too. And they really liked us as well. And we were thinking, like, we went on tour again with Fun Size. Another time we went up for a month again. And Fun Size had mentioned, yeah, those guys want to see you again. They're sort of interested in, checking you guys out. So make sure you play good. But our show got canceled in New York that we were supposed to play with them. And we never really were able to get that to cross the paths again. And we got back, and shortly after that, our guitarist quit. And we had been getting all of these really great reviews in Maximum Rock and Roll. And that was the one thing with Ben Grimm, was the Maximum Rock and Roll reviews that we were getting were like, my mind was blown. When you send your shit off for review, especially back then, you don't know if you're going to get a review. And then oftentimes, like in King Friday, you'd get, we'd send stuff off, and they'd just like, this band fucking sucks. That singer's the worst. And blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh God, my whole world is ending. But the Ben Grimm stuff, Maximum Rock and Roll fucking loved it. That Ray from Maximum Rock and Roll, who was like one of the guys who loved the pop stuff. He had gotten a hold of our stuff, and he wrote everything that we had. I started just addressing it to him, and he'd get it. And by the last review for our CD EP, he was just, I have the review somewhere. I think it's, I can't remember what issue it's in, but I still have the issue. But he says that Ben Grimm's one of the best up and coming pop punk bands of the late 90s. And then once he did
the name the first time.
Yeah, after that, label started like reaching out. They were like, hey, what do you guys, can you send us stuff? And some of the labels, I was surprised they were kind of big. And I was like, shit, like Maximum Rock and Roll is like single-handedly giving the Wisconsin guys a chance. So that was great. Coming from that area and having that review come out, everyone was reading Maximum Rock and Roll. So I felt really pretty excited and proud when I was reading these reviews. And that last one, I was like, I can't even believe that he said that. So we should have never quit. I wish we could have given it one more year in Ben Grimm just to see what would have happened and went on the road. But we literally could not replace that guitar player who quit. He was just such an important part of the band. We tried to, and it just didn't sound right.
The one thing that I've always said especially with Bat Town Boys and Dead Lazlo's Place and For Sale, like, it takes the five of us to do this. Like, you take one person out, chemistry, and the sound is done. It's going to be, it's the same songs, but it's a different sound, a different feeling, different vibe, and I hated it. And it was like, so there's no one in this band that's better than anybody. We all need each other to sound like this, right? And we need to work together. And it worked for, a lot of years for a lot of us bands. But for me, it's like, when somebody thought they were more important is when things fell apart.
Yeah,
for sure. And a lot of bands are kind of notorious. Some bands are sort of, I feel like this is a cursed thing that happens to bands, is you release like a new record. So I saw that you had a new record that is coming out. You had the test pressing. Yeah. So now don't break up, because that seems like it's a common thing. You put all this money into this thing. We got our CD EP out, sent it out for reviews. It was getting really good reviews. And then the band breaks up and you're thinking, what are you thinking? Like, why are you, I don't want to go on tour anymore. Okay.
Yeah.
Why not? And I remember at the time it was, we're getting too old for this. And I was like 24. I'm like,
Oh,
dude,
God.
24? Come
Yeah.
on, let's do it for a couple more years. And then it was just I always like wonder what kind of might have happened. I don't know if anything would have happened, but I wanted to go on tour again. And after that version of Ben Grimm broke up, I moved to Jacksonville, Florida, and we tried to pick the band back up with my friend Bo Dillard, who is an amazing singer, guitarist. He was in a band called Uphill Down. I met him on the Ben Grimm tour, and he gave me a 7-inch of Uphill Down, and I was thinking, oh my God, I want to play in a band with him so bad. And now he's in a band called Flag on Fire, which is really fucking great too.
Yeah.
Really great band. We tried to put Ben Grimm together with him in Jacksonville, and I got Joel, who was in Jennifer Echo. He ended up moving out there, and then we got the drummer to move out there, and the drummer ended up moving back home, didn't want to do it, and then we never could find the right drummer, and something was just missing still. Even though it sounded cool, we were jamming with people, and after that, it just sort of went downhill. And I feel like Jennifer Echo was kind of like a little last hurrah, where we were kind of trying to maybe see if we were going to tour again. But at that time, in if there was a buzz going on about Ben Grimm in the late 90s, too much time had passed and we weren't touring. And when I got to Portland, we kind of tried to, Joel and I got together again. Joel Vega, he was also in Ben Grimm, and he also did those Davis Babies songs. We were like, oh, let's just give it another shot. But then moving to Portland, it was really difficult because literally everyone in the Jennifer Echo was a transplant from somewhere else. So we didn't have our foot in the door in this Pacific Northwest scene. And also I feel like the style of music too was a little bit different in Portland at the time. It wasn't like, I don't feel like there was much of a scene for that. There's sort of a punk scene. There definitely was not stuff for like poppy, punky stuff, even though we were kind of like maturing a little bit with the Jennifer Echo stuff. It just was like, it wasn't happening. We couldn't get on good shows. We play at bars and you got like 5 people show up and you're like, oh boy, we went on a little mini tour, but it was like, at that point, I feel like the songs were there, and I feel like that's probably what Ben Grimm would have evolved into sounding like if we had stuck it out. But man, I kind of just let it go after that, after Jennifer Echo, even though I like that EP, I think turned out really great. I'm really proud of that, but it was hard. It's like, it was just a different time then. We were moving into like new territory of being in a band, and we were getting a little older too, which now I don't think it really matters that much. Doesn't fucking matter.
Defining older now is different than back then.
Way different now. So
I'm 53 and I still want to be on the road.
He's 74 and he doesn't know what he's doing.
I just turned 50 this year, so
I'll be 50 in a few months.
Okay.
No, I don't remember the wheel. I do remember Fire though. So we're over on time. We're getting down there. So I want to know, do you have any plugs? Links to back music people can buy that maybe put money in your pocket. Also your shop, which I want to go to next time I'm driving to Portland.
So the plugs here would be Hollywood Babylon in Portland, Oregon, is a vintage clothing store. It's been here for 14 years. So if you're in the Portland area, you could check us out. Come into the shop in the Hollywood district, and we're on Instagram, Hollywood Babylon PDX. I haven't really been doing too much in the way of music nowadays. I do have everything. I have a Davis Baby Bandcamp page that I put all of the Ben Grimm stuff on as well. It's for free. You can just download it for free. There's all of my demos that I've been working on. And then there's also, I think there's some King Friday stuff on there too that you can download for free. And then I have a YouTube channel that I told Gizz about. It's from a blog that I've been doing. It's kind of a nerd movie, comic booky type pop culture blog called Universal Dork. But I, within the past few months, started a YouTube channel as well, Universal Dork on YouTube. So I'm pumping videos out on there too. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with that.
Right on.
Yeah.
Promote. We're like I said, our website's going to go live very soon. We're going to have an online store. We're going to be doing one-off press stuff, sending out merch, like so people will be able to drop ship through our store.
Hey, I got
so
a
yeah.
question quick about that. I have a friend of mine who put out the Ben Grimm Muck CD in '98. Sent me a box of probably like 30 or 40 CDs. I could send you guys a few for your merch store if you want. I don't know if anyone would be down to have that, but they're like vintage. They're, from '98 and they were forgotten about, but I've got them here and I've been thinking, what am I going to do with these? I don't want to throw them away, but I'd love to send you guys some, and whatever you do, whatever you want with them. If someone wants one, I'll definitely send
now I want to be able to provide a place where people can like either send us artwork and we can promote, we can do what we can. Like we're in that kind of position where it's not busy right now. And so
right.
let's see what we can get done for other people, because I want to see everybody succeed. That's one of the biggest things that we both have in common is like, how do we help people succeed, or ruin their lives one way or the other.
Well, the latter's happening to me.
Yeah, congratulations.
But dude, it's awesome.
Yeah.
You and
we got to do this again because there's more. There's way more. I love this. You're like an encyclopedia. It's fantastic.
Yeah, maybe if we do it again, I could get Joel, who was in all of Davis Baby, Jennifer Echo, Ben. I could get him on as well. That would be fun. I got it. There's some interesting stories with him as well that would be fun to talk about. And I'm curious, like Gizz, when are you coming back to Portland? You had mentioned about trying to get up here.
Every week I get dangled this little, like, hey, we're gonna go all the way to Seattle,
Yeah.
And I'm dude, Portland. I know it's gonna be on that list. And then I'm like, oh yeah, okay, we're gonna push that back. We're gonna push that back.
Yeah.
But it's gonna eventually happen.
I'm gonna predict sometime between spring and summer next year.
Yeah.
That Foreclosure will have that tour.
Yeah.
When I saw Gizz the last time before the all show, if my memory serves me correct, you were in like a fucking giant tour bus or something.
Which band?
You were playing drums. You were playing drums. You posted a picture of you and I together. I think I had a Doughboy shirt on that night too, but you were playing drums and it was like a big
Soul Trash.
Like, what is going on here?
Yeah, we had the RV and the trailer.
Yes. It was like rock stardom. Rock stardom.
Dude, that was fun.
That must have been fun in that thing going around. Was that a good time?
Blast,
He was a fluffer for a hair metal band.
Oh my god. Yeah, it was Soul Trash. Yeah, I was playing drums with them. I was the guys from Bourbon Saints, PRV 13, the bass player for Jamie Pina's band from Chemical People.
Yeah.
And then Vince Hero.
Oh,
Vince Hero.
Hi, Vince.
So yeah, dude, that band was
that was rad.
I'll
be there whenever you make it up here. You let me know, and I'll come by the show and hang for sure. I look forward to it. So especially for the foreclosure
in store.
Oh man, let's do an in-store. That'd be funny as shit.
That'd be great. Hell yeah! Well, it's been super great talking to you, dudes.
Oh,
yeah, you too, man.
Thank you so much, and
thank you for having me on.
Stay on the line. We'll talk right after we get out.
Sure.
All right, brother. Love you, man.
Yeah.
Take care, bud.
Later.
Whoo, another showdown.
Buddy.
Oh,
what are we doing?
I'm going to bed.
Me too.
I'm going to bed, dude. I'm tired.
Yeah.
It's been a long week.
Man, is this still Monday?
Yeah.
I got the vapors. Well, anyways, it's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do the like and subscribe.
Yep.
We're doing do podcast, cast with an X. Also, you know what you should do, DU on the YouTubes.
Yep.
Check us out on we're on Instagram now, I believe.
Yeah, we've been. I don't do that. I don't do the Instagram.
We're working on it. It's all happening.
I don't do the TikToks and I don't do the X, whatever that is.
That you made the X. No. Oh no.
I did. But all right, so next week it's just me and you, and you come
boxing match.
Questions. I'm gonna give you.
I have questions.
I'm gonna give you 6 weeks. I'm gonna give you 6 days.
I have questions.
And I got questions too.
So yeah, next week's a retrospective of the last 30 weeks.
Yep.
It's gonna be a lot of fun. It's a Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
There might be drinking.
Oh, there will be. I want the that
Are we doing the Irish American again?
Irish American. I want an Irish American. Dude, that thing was dangerous.
I
I love it. I would want one today, but
So
I ain't
we're-
drinking today. Yeah, see, no drinking all day.
We're signing our way out now.
So
So
we'll see you guys next week.
tune in or
every
fuck
Monday.
off.
Every Monday at 7:00.
Amen.
All right. You know what you should do? Come back next week.
I agree.
Cut.